My name is Kate Alwell. I'm a Chicago 2009 Corps member, and this is a resource room mini workshop on high school management. The first thing when it comes to high school management is that you really need to have clear and concise rules, consequences, and rewards. I teach 11th grade biology, and in my classroom the rules are really simple. It's be prepared, be organized, be on time, and be engaged. At the start of the school year, I had the students come up with those rules themselves. By having them choose the rules for the class, you can get engagement and buy-in into the rules instead of you just giving the rules to the class. In terms of consequences, they need to be clear and concise, and they also have to be meaningful for the students. So I would suggest that you get to know your students, and from there you can find out stronger consequences. But at the start of the school year, some good consequences that have worked for me have been a warning, a seat change, something called a think sheet, which is a homework assignment where the student has to go home and reflect on their behavior. In addition, you can have class or time after class to talk to that student, detention, and then discipline office. Another consequence that I always like to interject in there is that I can give a student any one of those consequences in any order if I see fit. The most important thing with high school students when giving out consequences is that you give out consequences for the same behavior no matter who is the student, because they will see if you are not consistent. And then finally, for rewards, I teach 11th graders and they love stickers and sticker charts. That's a really great way to get students to come to class on time. Whoever has the most stickers at the end of the week gets some sort of reward, whether that's homework pass, extra credit, you get a break during class, candy, any other rewards that you know that your students will like. So that's just up front. Some other things that you can do as a teacher during the school year to keep classroom management in check is to always narrate the good behavior. So when a student is doing something that you expect them to be doing, for instance, Damien is sitting in his seat, or Jose has his pencil out on his desk. Say that out loud so that the students hear the good behavior. You don't necessarily need to say, "Thank you, Damien, for sitting in your seat," because that is something that you are expecting of them. Instead, just narrate the action. Damien is sitting in his seat. In addition to narrating good behavior, another strategy that works really well in your classroom, and this is at any age level, is to build a relationship and have an expectation of trust in the classroom. You have to remember that every student comes into your classroom and makes a choice on whether or not they're going to listen, behave, and be engaged. If they feel that they can trust you and that you trust them and there is that mutual respect, this will go a lot easier. Some ways that I have found to gain that respect is to greet your students outside the door every day with a handshake or a smile and by name. If they were absent the day before, acknowledge that and ask them why. Some other tactics that you can do to help gain trust are give a student questionnaire in the beginning of the year and throughout the year that asks them things they're enjoying in the class, things that they wish were being done differently. This way they see that you actually care about how they are learning and ways to improve that learning. Another strategy that you can do is calling home before you actually have the students in your classroom. If you're able to see a roster beforehand, make some phone calls before that first day of school just to let them know that you're going to be their science teacher, English teacher, and whatnot. And then finally, going to sporting events, sitting and having lunch in the cafeteria, getting to see your students outside the classroom is another strategy to help build trust. If you're doing all of that and you're still having a few classroom management issues, a strategy that worked really well with my 9th graders last year was a behavior tracker. Many of my 9th graders didn't really understand what was good behavior and what was not good behavior, and they didn't really understand that they were messing up and not following directions as much as they actually were. So I put them on a behavior tracker. At the end of this video, you're going to see 2 examples of behavior trackers, but right now I'm just going to walk you through them right now. If you have a student that is off task more than 50% of the time, I would suggest putting them on a behavior tracker. And a behavior tracker just is a grade every day based on their behavior. What they have to do, and here is a weekly behavior tracker, is every day at the end of class, they have to give themselves a grade. For instance, on Monday, this student gave themselves a B, and they said why. They were doing some classwork, but they were talking a bit, but they did their exit slip. So this is why they gave themselves a B. At the end of the day, after they gave themselves a grade, I would definitely comment on this, whether you agree or disagree. In order to get buy-in and investment into this, make some sort of goal for the student. For instance, if you're starting out at a B this week, I want you by Friday to be at an A. If you're at an A by Friday for your behavior, you get some sort of reward. Allow that student to pick the reward that they get. If daily breakdown for behavior is not working, you can go down to actually breaking down a behavior tracker and having it every few minutes. So for this student, this would be a student who is constantly out of their seat, constantly talking, really having a hard time focusing in class. Every 10 minutes, they have to stop, reflect on their behavior for that 10 minutes, and give themselves a grade. This might seem like a lot of work at front, but in the end it pays off because that student will start to understand the misbehavior that they're having. You can set this up instead of every 0 to 10 minutes. You can set it up as introduction to new material, guided practice, and independent practice. Or whenever you see that student starting to get off task, stop them, ask them to give themselves a grade for that behavior, have them tell you why, and then you reflect on it as well. This will be up on TFANet after the video. Most importantly for high school management is that you're consistent, you're clear, you're constantly modeling the good behavior, you are building relationships with your students based on trust and respect, and when something is not working, you address it right away before the situation gets worse, and a good strategy would be a behavior tracker.